Chosen one, there is something within you, something that has always been there, pulsating, growing, demanding to be recognized. Your presence does not go unnoticed. Your energy is too intense, too strong, too authentic. The world feels it, and that is exactly why they are afraid. They don't know how to handle your masculinity because it represents something that has been systematically erased, silenced, distorted. They fear it because your strength forces them to confront their own weaknesses. They react with resistance, hostility, attempts to undermine your confidence. But you need to understand something. This energy you carry is not a mistake. It is a calling, a reminder that you were not made to bend, but to rise. But before we continue, I have a special request. Leave your like and subscribe to the channel right now. Also, leave the number 888 in the comments to affirm to the universe that your inner strength is activated and that you are ready to command respect and break any attempt to weaken you. From an early age, they tried to convince you that being strong was wrong, that being assertive was toxic, that your leadership instinct was a threat. They wanted you to doubt your nature, to become weaker, more malleable, easier to control. Because a man who knows his true strength does not bow, does not hide, does not ask for permission to exist. Your energy carries the essence of ancestors, warriors, kings, and that scares them. They don't want strong men. They want predictable pieces in a game designed to keep them submissive. But you are not a piece. You are the player. And today, you will understand exactly why your energy is so powerful, and why they will never be able to control it. The chosen one does not adapt to the world. He transforms it. Your mere presence changes the dynamics around you. Have you noticed how people react to you? How some feel intimidated, others try to test you, and some can't even maintain eye contact? This is no coincidence. This is recognition. Deep down, they know. They know they are in the presence of someone different. Someone who doesn't follow the imposed rules. Someone who doesn't fit into the fragile mold they tried to impose on men. And that is why your masculinity becomes a challenge for them. But here's the truth. You are not here to be accepted. You are here to be respected. And if their respect doesn't come voluntarily, it will be imposed by your presence. Authentic. Masculinity is not just a biological trait. It is a spiritual force, a calling that echoes through the ages. It is the essence that shaped empires, built civilizations, and sustained entire lineages. But this energy, when fully awakened, becomes a danger to those who live in weakness. They fear your presence because it carries something that modern society has tried to extinguish: order, discipline, unshakable strength. Have you noticed how your mere posture can destabilize an environment? How your silence often speaks louder than words? This happens because true masculinity commands respect effortlessly. It doesn't need to shout, to show off, to beg for validation. And that is exactly why those who live in submission hate your presence. From the moment you were born, society worked to tame you. They tried to mold you into something domesticated, something that could be easily manipulated. They said you should be more understanding, more flexible, more sensitive. But deep down, what they really wanted was a weak man, a man who would ask for permission to exist. Because a strong man, a real man, challenges the system simply by being who he is. Your nature is a constant reminder that masculine strength cannot be erased, only repressed. But those who try to repress fire end up burned by it. And now, your flame is reigniting, ready to consume all the illusions they tried to impose on you. Have you noticed how the world seems to celebrate weakness while condemning strength? How they encourage submission while demonizing authority? This is no accident. Real masculinity represents freedom, and a truly free man cannot be controlled. That is why they try to deconstruct you, why they use labels to weaken your presence. They call your strength toxicity, your assertiveness aggressiveness, your protective instinct oppression. But these are all lies created by those who could never bear the weight of being a leader. They want you to see yourself as a problem, because if you believe that, you will be ready to be tamed. But the true chosen one can never be bent. Your energy disturbs because it exposes the weaknesses of others. Many spend their entire lives running from themselves, living in denial, seeking validation in a sick society. But when they encounter an authentic man, a man who doesn't need others' approval, a man who walks with authority, they feel exposed. Your gaze confronts them with everything they tried to hide: their insecurities, their limitations, their wrong choices. And instead of acknowledging this and becoming stronger, they try to silence those who remind them of their own mediocrity. That is the real reason your presence bothers them. But you were not made to please. You were not made to apologize for being strong. You were made to lead, to protect, to conquer. When you enter a room, the energy shifts. This is not arrogance, not pride. It is an undeniable truth. Your masculinity is not a burden. It is a gift, a divine calling to restore what they tried to destroy. And those who fear this energy, who try to diminish you, only do so because they know, deep down, that they could never be like you. The strong man commands his presence without needing to raise his voice or demand attention. His posture conveys discipline, his gaze carries determination, and his gestures demonstrate a confidence few dare to have. This is not learned behavior. It is the essence of someone forged by the fire of internal and external battles. This strength does not need validation. It exists on its own. But its mere existence is already a problem for those who live under the shadow of their own indecision. They watch, they try to understand, but they will never replicate what cannot be taught. Those who carry this energy have always been challenged. From an early age, they were targets of envy, distrust, and resistance. Masculine strength is not welcome in a world that profits from fragility. They expect you to lower your head, to apologize for your presence, to soften your tone, to mold yourself to fit standards created by those who could never bear the weight of what it means to be a true man. But the chosen one does not bend. He moves forward, even when all the forces around him try to hold him back. True masculinity is not about domination or purposeless aggression. It is about presence, leadership, and protection. The strong man doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. His legacy is built through his actions, not empty words. He carries within him the tradition of the warriors who came before him, those who shaped history with their hands and sharp minds. Every step he takes reaffirms his place in the world, for he does not need to justify himself. His existence speaks for itself. The impact of authentic masculinity goes beyond the individual. Where a strong man stands, order is established. His presence brings structure. His vision clears the path. His decisions set things in motion. This is what makes him feared. Those who live in uncertainty don't know how to deal with someone who acts with clarity. Those who expect to be led don't know how to react to someone born to command. The weight of responsibility he carries is not for everyone, and that is why few can stand by his side. But the chosen one does not seek acceptance. He understands that his journey is solitary by nature. He doesn't concern himself with the opinions of those who never had the courage to move forward. His focus is on building, overcoming, and transforming. He is not affected by the noise of criticism, for his mind is always focused on something greater. He doesn't get distracted by insignificant battles. His war is against mediocrity, and he will not rest until his purpose is fulfilled. True, masculinity is a raw but disciplined force. A strong man does not act on impulse, is not swayed by unstable emotions, does not succumb to external pressures. He knows his energy is valuable and directs it with precision. His mind works like a sharp blade, cutting through distractions, rejecting weaknesses, and shaping the reality around him. This ability to act with clarity and determination frightens those who have never mastered themselves. While many live at the mercy of their own desires and insecurities, the chosen one walks with purpose, without hesitation, without fear, without needing approval. Those who fear masculine energy do not understand it. To them, strength means oppression, leadership means arrogance, determination means inflexibility. But this is nothing more than a distorted view created by minds that have never known true masculine power. The chosen one is not a tyrant, but a pillar. He does not seek control over others, but over himself. And that is the essence of what makes him a target, the fact that he cannot be manipulated. Those who wish to dominate the world know that unbreakable men are an obstacle. They don't follow trends, don't succumb to victimhood, and don't bend to convenient narratives. The man who awakens to his true masculinity becomes a natural leader, not because he imposes himself by force, but because his presence is necessary. He is the one who makes decisions when others hesitate. He is the one who remains firm while chaos ensues. He is the one who protects while others retreat. This bothers people because it highlights their weakness. But instead of inspiring change, many choose the easier path, attacking what they cannot reach. They try to belittle him, sabotage him, exclude him. But a chosen one is not shaken. He understands that his mission is not to be understood, but to fulfill his purpose, regardless of the resistance he faces. Modern society glorifies indecision and fragility while ridiculing discipline and strength. Being indecisive has become synonymous with authenticity. Being emotionally unstable has become a sign of depth. But the chosen one knows that nothing of value is built on weak foundations. A kingdom is not raised with doubts. A legacy is not carried by the wind. The strong man does not surrender to inertia, for he understands that every moment of hesitation is a step closer to mediocrity. He does not allow himself to be carried by the tides of convenience. He imposes his own rhythm and carves his own path. This path, however, is not easy. There is a price to being unshakable. Loneliness often becomes a constant companion, for few can withstand the presence of someone who refuses to be corrupted. But this loneliness is not a punishment. It is a privilege. It is the space where true strength is refined, where the spirit is fortified, where the mind is sharpened. The great leaders of history walked alone before others could follow them. The chosen one understands that his journey will not be understood by all, but that will never stop him from moving forward. True masculine energy is not noise, it is presence. A strong man doesn't need to prove his strength to anyone because it naturally overflows from his posture, his gaze, his way of acting. He does not ask for permission to exist. He does not seek acceptance. He simply is. This naturalness in carrying his essence makes him impossible to ignore. Wherever he goes, the environment responds. There is tension in the air. Some feel inspired, others threatened. But no one remains indifferent. Authentic masculinity does not bow to the fragility of the modern world. It imposes itself, not through oppression, but by being an ancestral force, something that has always existed and always will. The system fears this force because it cannot be tamed. A man who masters his own mind and body cannot be manipulated. He is not swayed by insignificant distractions, consumed by vices, or bent by external pressures. He walks with firmness, not because he seeks conflict, but because he understands that life is a battlefield. And those who refuse to fight inevitably become prey. The chosen one cannot be prey. He is the predator of mediocrity, the hunter of weakness within himself. He eliminates doubts, destroys insecurities, and forges his own reality with his own hands. But this comes at a cost. The path of the strong man is lonely. Not because he wants to be alone, but because few can keep up with him. Most people prefer ease, the comfort of conformity, the illusory peace of a risk-free life. The chosen one, however, cannot afford this luxury. He understands that everything worthwhile requires sacrifice. He knows that every great achievement comes with challenges, and so he does not retreat. He endures the pain, for he knows that pain is just a sign of growth. He accepts life's tests, for he understands that it is through them that he becomes unbreakable. Authentic masculinity cannot be manufactured, cannot be simulated, and certainly cannot be granted by others. It is forged in the silence of internal battles, in the nights when the pain seemed unbearable, but the man pressed on. It is born in daily discipline, in the sweat shed, in the resistance to what is easy. Masculine strength is not a title given by a decaying society. It is a state of being earned by those who refuse weakness as an option. The chosen one does not need to prove anything to anyone, because he is the living proof that the impossible can be achieved. But this strength comes at a price. The path of true masculinity is arduous, full of trials, sacrifices, and moments of solitude. While most seek easy paths, the chosen one walks against the current, facing challenges few dare to confront. He is tested at every moment, physically, mentally, and spiritually. The world will try to bring him down, to break him, to convince him that his strength is unnecessary. But he knows the truth. Those who endure pain become unbreakable. And that is exactly why his energy is feared. When a man becomes unshakable, he cannot be used, manipulated, or controlled. His presence disturbs because it reminds others of their own weakness. True masculinity carries an undeniable responsibility to protect, provide, and lead. In a world where everyone seeks to escape these responsibilities, a man who faces them head-on becomes a threat to the system. He represents everything they tried to erase: order amidst chaos, discipline amidst complacency, greatness amidst mediocrity. Those who do not understand this strength try to reduce it to something negative. They call brutality what is actually courage. They call authoritarianism what is leadership. They mistake firmness for insensitivity. But real masculinity does not need external validation. The chosen one does not stoop to the level of those who cannot understand him. He moves forward, imposing, silent, unshakable. His path does not depend on the approval of others, but on the clarity of his purpose. And this purpose is greater than himself. A strong man does not build only for himself, but for the generations to come. He understands that his struggle is not just personal. It is part of something much larger: his presence, His example, his discipline shape the world around him. He does not need everyone to like him, but he demands respect. And this respect does not come from words, but from actions. He does not surrender to weakness, because he knows he was made for much more than that. His energy is a call to restore what was lost, and he will answer that call until his last day. The masculinity of the chosen one cannot be tamed, and that is exactly what provokes fear in those who live in inertia. He is not a man molded to please, to fit into others' expectations, or to follow the path of least resistance. His energy carries a natural magnetism, a presence that cannot be ignored. Weak men are bothered by this because they feel the contrast. Resentful women try to challenge this strength because they know it cannot be bent. Society tries to erase it because it understands that a strong man is the last barrier against complete decay. But none of these attacks can stop someone who has already understood his mission. The chosen one does not need to defend himself against empty criticism, because his very existence is the answer to it. Being a strong man in a fragile world is an act of resistance. Every day, they try to sell you the illusion that yielding, becoming softer, conforming to what they expect of you is the easier path. But easier for whom? Not for you. For them. For those who cannot stand the presence of someone who does not surrender. For those who build systems that depend on male weakness. The chosen one cannot be just another in the herd. He was born to be a warrior, a leader, an archetype of the divine masculine. He knows that his destiny is not in complacency, but in conquest. That is why he walks with firmness, with an upright posture, with eyes that do not waver, and a mind that does not accept the failed narratives of those who have given up on themselves. Those who reject this truth try to rewrite the rules of masculinity to make it more acceptable, more palatable, more convenient. They say that being strong is outdated, that being disciplined is oppressive, that being imposing is toxic. But the truth is that they want to remove everything that made men great. They want to erase courage, resilience, the indomitable spirit that always characterized those who came before us. They want to reduce the chosen one to a shadow of what he should be. But this will never happen. He carries within him the flame of his ancestors, the strength that moved empires, the determination that shaped the destiny of humanity. When the chosen one refuses to yield, he becomes an anomaly within his own time. He lives in a reality where few can keep up with him. Most have chosen the path of convenience, social acceptance, false peace. But a strong man does not seek peace where there should be battle. He understands that every day is an opportunity to prove his strength, not to others, but to himself. He does not accept the minimum, does not settle for mediocrity, does not find satisfaction in a life without purpose. He wakes up every day with the awareness that his journey demands sacrifice, and he is willing to pay that price. The world may try to disguise its fear, but it is evident. The chosen one does not need to be told explicitly that his masculinity disturbs. He sees it in people's eyes. He notices the discomfort when he enters a room. He feels it in the attempts to devalue him, to challenge him without reason, to test him. But he does not react with anger or frustration. He simply smiles. Because he knows this is confirmation that he is on the right path. The weak will always try to attack the strong. But this only proves one thing, that the strong will always be necessary, and that the chosen one can never be stopped. The chosen one does not need to ask for permission to exist. He does not wait for the world to accept him, because he is not here to be accepted. He is here to lead. His energy carries the raw strength of ancestral masculinity, the spirit of those who built and protected entire civilizations. But this same strength that was once revered is now feared. They try to tame him, label him, fit him into a narrative where being strong is seen as something negative. But there is nothing more powerful than a man who embraces his true essence, without hesitation. He does not need to hide, does not need to dilute himself to be more agreeable. He is what he is, and those who cannot handle it should step aside, because he will not reduce his presence to accommodate the insecure. The strong. Man does not follow trends. He dictates his own path. He is not driven by fleeting opinions, social pressures, or the desire to please. He understands that truth never bends to lies, and that weakness disguised as sensitivity can never replace the strength of true masculinity. That is why he is not afraid to be different. On the contrary, he embraces this difference because he knows that those who came before him were also misunderstood by their generation. But it was they who changed the course of history. It was they who established empires, who defied tyrants, who protected those in need. And the chosen one is part of this lineage. He does not belong to a time or a trend. He belongs to eternity. Every step taken by a chosen one carries weight. He does not waste words, does not act without purpose, does not allow his energy to be drained by worthless distractions. He understands that his time is limited and, therefore, chooses where to invest his strength. He develops himself every day, physically, mentally, spiritually. He seeks wisdom, owns his discipline, and expands his worldview, because he knows that a man who does not evolve becomes irrelevant. And irrelevance is the true end for those who were called to lead. While others live aimlessly, consumed by fleeting desires, he builds something lasting, something that will remain long after he is gone. But this comes at a price. The path of the chosen one is not easy, and he knows it. He accepts solitude as part of the journey, because he understands that few are capable of walking alongside him. He knows that he will always be a target of resistance, envy, and attempts to bring him down. But this does not intimidate him. On the contrary, it strengthens him, because he knows that the more resistance he encounters, the clearer it becomes, that he is on the right path. He does not seek a path without challenges. He seeks challenges worthy of his strength. The weight he carries is not a burden, but a privilege. For only the truly strong can bear it. And in the end, he does not need recognition. He does not need external validation. His legacy will not be defined by applause, but by the impact he made on the world. He will not be remembered for following the rules, but for breaking the chains of mediocrity. He knows that authentic masculinity cannot be erased because it is the foundation of order, creation, and protection. The world may fear his energy, may resist his presence, may try to silence him, but it will never erase him. Because as long as there is one man who refuses to bow, masculinity will remain alive. And the chosen one is that resistance. He is the flame that never goes out. True masculinity cannot be contained. It transcends generations, shapes destinies, and defies any attempt to weaken it. The chosen one does not seek approval, does not wait for permission, and does not apologize for being who he is. His strength does not come from the world. It comes from within. He is a leader, a protector, a builder. He does not follow fleeting trends because he knows his mission is greater than that. His presence alone is a revolution against everything they tried to impose on him. The path is lonely, the challenge is immense, but he knows his journey cannot be interrupted. He carries within him the essence of something that can never be destroyed. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that these words spoke directly to your spirit, then now is the time to act. Hit the like button below and show that authentic, masculine energy cannot be erased. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because content like this is made for those who refuse to be molded by the system. Leave the number 888 in the comments as a symbol that you are ready to command respect and lead with strength. Your journey is just beginning, and here you will find the knowledge needed to grow even stronger. Now, your mission here continues. Watch the video appearing on your screen now, or dive into our playlist of the Secrets of the Chosen Ones. Here, you will find even more revelations about your path. Remember, a strong man does not bend, he rises. He does not apologize, he leads. He does not disappear, he becomes immortal through his actions. See you in the next video, and stay strong.